Hi, I'm Carrie Griguska, Program Director in the Office of the CTO here at SADA. In this episode of The Power of Best Practices, we'll sit down with Chris Guth, Senior Change Manager at SADA, and John Lawler, Partner Enablement Director at LumApps. Chris and John will discuss the SADA and LumApps partnership and the importance of best practices when delivering partner solutions that unlock enhanced benefits to our customers on Google Cloud. Let's meet Chris and John.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Guth. I'm a senior change management consultant here at SADA. So my day-to-day is helping customers understand and plan for change impacts for Google Workspace implementations. Some of my favorite projects to work on are definitely the LumApps ones, which is what we're here to talk about today.
Great to see everyone. I'm John Lawler. I'm our Partner Enablement Director at LumApps. LumApps was actually founded in 2015, and originally it was a marketplace add-on for what was then called Google Apps. And the marketplace concept was pretty new back then. GCP wasn't around, or at least it wasn't being offered to customers quite yet. And back then, the marketplace apps were really just kind of focused on collaboration and productivity, integrations with like Gmail and Calendar and Google Drive and things like that. So it was pretty small, and the partner ecosystem for Google was pretty small back then too. It was just partners that help with Workspace and Chrome and things like that. And SADA was, one of the biggest and best back then, and made a lot of sense to partner with SADA at that point. Yeah. And I wasn't with LumApps then, and Chris probably wasn't with SADA then. So the intricacies of how the partnership started are kind of just folklore at this point, I suppose.
Yeah, so like John was alluding to, I was also not with SADA back in 2015. So it's probably transcribed in the history books as to how that partnership became official. But I can remember the first LumApps engagement that I saw was for a government agency that needed like an employee intranet or a resource page that Google Sites couldn't offer. And there were some folks on my team, one person in particular I can remember who was learning about LumApps and said, man, this thing's got like a lot of potential, but it's pretty intricate. Like it's got a lot of things that Sites doesn't do. And so it seemed interesting at the time. And then we started to get like some of our bigger name customers that were really interested in going after better employee experience platforms. So it was at that moment that I was like, oh man, like we really need to get good at this. We need to learn this. So I was excited to jump in and learn it along with a couple of my colleagues as well. And yeah, since then, just been having a lot of fun with just deploying in different industries, consumer manufacturing products, software companies, just different verticals that SADA operates in and provides really good like thought leadership and guidance. And LumApps just fits in really well with these customers, especially when they're making the transition to Google. Employee experience is a big part of that, and so it's just kind of blossomed from there, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd add to that too, Chris, that, in 2015, being that it was so new, we made a choice as a company to try and model and emulate Google's partner program. And so, when we had SADA join back then, we were a startup. So, from the LumApps point of view, that SADA, has helped us grow this thing from a startup into, somewhat of a market leader now with Gartner and Forrester and other analysts that kind of rank, similar product stars. So it's a very important partnership, and and growth continues right through up until today and into the future with SADA. I think customers benefit in many ways. For one, with a partner like SADA, not only can you get a consulting agency that can help you migrate successfully to Google Workspace, but you're getting a partner that knows a ton about the employee experience market and important topics this day and age around recognition and employee communication, employee enablement. I think also companies that are going Google tend to have a strong bias for innovation. And LumApps provides an opportunity for that digital transformation to impact the employee base, the frontline workers, the people on the ground that are the face of the organization. And in this case, the benefit becomes, I think, at least a 2x factor when you work with SADA, because you're going to get Google and LumApps and all the expertise that they have therein. But in terms of what's possible, I think it can be a much larger scale than 2x. So, I think there's tremendous benefits to have a partner like SADA that knows this, super innovative technology in this market.
I'd say it starts fundamentally with what LumApps and SADA are both trying to achieve. SADA's Just Cause about empowering the organizations and the people we serve, right? That's what we're trying to do. And then LumApps' vision of being like incredibly user focused and incredibly user driven. That's like the foundation that we both start from, right? That's like best practice wise, that's what we're both trying to achieve. From there, LumApps has this a couple methodologies, like the DREAM methodology, for example, that we really align with, from understanding what are the goals of what we're trying to create, and then how do we do effective planning and strategic thinking at the very beginning of the project before we start building anything. So asking a whole bunch of questions around what are the use cases that we're building for, what do we want people to experience when they go to the site, what are we designing for? Like there's just a lot of great questions and thought put into LumApps' methodology that we've adapted here at SADA for how we deliver the LumApps platform to our customers. So LumApps has done a lot of that heavy lifting. We've kind of put a SADA focus and attention on it with helping our customers to achieve their goals. So it's been great to implement the best practices.
To me, we kind of touched on it in the methodology, and that's just defining what exactly the expectations are, the requirements are for the customer in a way that, the partner understands and the overall project team understands, so that you really have something that you're marching towards that's clearly defined. To me, that is the biggest best practice and guidance that I would give our customers.
The DREAM methodology, and John can probably speak to it a lot more fluently than I can, but one of the main things that we have adapted from that methodology is starting at the beginning with our planning workshops. So identifying use cases, talking about governance and information architecture, user personas, content lifecycle, social and communities features, design guidelines. Thinking about those things up front, having workshops with our customers to really dive in and discuss those things, and then building like a tailor-fit intranet for the things that we've discussed and discovered in those workshops. Now, not every customer that we work with wants to go in that in depth. Some of our customers are looking for a more quick, let's just get an intranet and turn it on because our employees need something right away, right now. Or maybe they're being a little bit more cost conscious and they want to maybe not spend so many cycles in the design iteration. They want to get something stood up a little bit faster. So in that way, we've got not only the DREAM methodology, but also the foundations package of, LumApps has some great templates that we can start with that already work great, that are turnkey, ready to go. We can style them to look like your company's brand, maybe make some adjustments based on particular use cases that we know we're targeting. So just the different deployment methodologies that LumApps have, we're able to adapt those and fit those into the projects that we run here at SADA. But maybe John can give us some more information into that as well.
DREAM is one of many methodologies out there for projects like this, and it's pretty simple at its core. It's, defining exactly what you're about to build with the customer. What are the use cases? What are the requirements? And then it's kind of refining that down into something that you can actually deliver on a certain schedule within a certain budget, within the actual features and technology that you're using. And then it goes into the later phases where you're executing on, design and getting people ramped up, doing the change management. So the dream is what we call it internally here, and we train our partners on it. And they typically use that or a version of that. They riff off of it and build their own thing. And I don't know that you have to have a great acronym like DREAM either, but it always helps to have something memorable like that.
I'd say, to add on to that, focusing in the beginning on just writing down what we want the employee to feel and experience. I think sounds so simple, but it's actually really kind of hard to do, right? To write that down in a statement of like, what do I want our employees to experience and feel when they come to this intranet page? And if we get that right in the beginning, if we can understand, like boil that down to a sentence or two, then as we go throughout our workshops and as we go throughout the build phase, we can always look back at that and say, is the activity that we're doing now, is the thing that we're building for, accomplishing what we said we want the employee to experience and feel? So spending the time in the beginning to understand that and define that. And maybe it's different for different types of employees within the organization. That's what's so great about LumApps is we can have different employee experiences based on role, location, time with the company, those types of things. So yeah, just I'd say, as simple as it sounds, like spend a good amount of time defining that up front, because it's going to give us that like shining light to go back to when we're actually, building out the platform.
Yeah. You reminded me of one other thing there too, Chris. And that's that something that, is pretty relevant in the world that we're in general. And that's that these projects are sometimes driven as IT projects, but really these are change management projects, right? The nice thing is that you're benefiting from new technology that works better, works more efficiently, has more features and functionality, and can do cool new things with third-party products, things that just weren't possible due to a lack of tech back in the day. And that's great. So you've got this great tech, but at the end of the day, you have to do the proper change management activities to make something that is truly going to impact the business and drive traffic and adoption. And that requires, again, a documented vision that can be easily, messaged out to key players that are going to be part of the human change element on a project. And again, that's where Chris and Adrian and others at SADA shine. They're product experts, but they're change management consultants. And that's a lethal combination for us. Lethal in a good way.
I love the fact that on our projects, we have folks I call out. I can't have a podcast talking about LumApps without calling out my buddy Jacob, who works here at SADA. I don't know where I would be without Jacob. Like, we have the technical expertise, and it's so, for my role specifically, it's fantastic that we have that here at SADA. And so I can focus on the user experience, right? I don't have to think about how, like, I have to go to training and understand how, things like groups and roles, permissions, and those types of things work. But what I get to talk to customers about is, well, what things do we want people to be a part of, or what should they be able to see on their homepage? And then translate that into what technology do we need to utilize and what features do we need to turn on or turn off to make that happen. That's really what brings me to work every day, is that I get to focus and talk about the things that inspire me, of like helping people enjoy their work days, helping people enjoy what they're doing with their lives. And I've got people on my team who have the technical prowess to help bring that vision to life in the technology and the things that we use. So there's two I want to start with. One is like, you'll hear this time and time again, but keep it simple. Like, we don't need to build the biggest most expansive offering at the start, at the gate. It's the successful projects I've seen have started with like the fundamentals of what we want this platform to be, and then growing it, adding on to it, right? This is not something that, I mean, you think about your company didn't start off by doing all of the things that you do today. It started off with a few maybe core offerings that your team got really good at, and then you grew from there. And approaching the intranet in the same way, we've seen work really, really well, where we start off with a solid foundation, and then we grow and we add on to it to enhance the employee experience. I'd say the other common pitfall is, I'd say just pay attention to the number of clicks that you're asking an employee to do to get to the information that they're looking for. So if we can reduce the number of clicks, if we can pay attention to, wow, this article is super important, I want everybody to see this article, how many clicks does it take for a person to get there? Like how many clicks to the center of the Tootsie Pop, right? We want to reduce the number of clicks, and that's going to provide a better experience. I personally know employees who have been turned off from other platforms because it takes too many clicks to get there. I get the email in my inbox, I see the article's been posted, but now I got to click and I got to sign in and I got to do two-factor authentication. I got 6 steps before I can get to the article that I just wanted to read from my email, right? So things like that, if we can think about it, you're going to have better adoption in the end. You're going to have people that are excited to use the platform. They're going to say it's simple. They're going to say it's easy to use. So those are two pitfalls that I'd say I've seen that I'd try to avoid.
Yeah. Those are good ones, Chris. Yeah. You want to avoid the link farm. Other legacy tech kind of turned into a link farm in the past and had really poor search capabilities back then. Now you can plug something like Google Search into LumApps, and you don't have to worry about necessarily adding everything under the sun into that app. You can use Google Search to go out and search other apps from the LumApps UI. So I love that one. I was going to say, I don't know if it relates so much to the things that we mentioned previously, but one of the big pitfalls that I see is putting design too forward in the project, because people are really opinionated about design. And I should know because I'm one of those people. I'm not a designer. I'm not a graphic designer. I can do a little design stuff, but nothing terribly great. But I have big opinions about it, and a lot of people do. And so if you start to reveal design too early in the project, it can become a little bit of a blocker to move forward, because people are so hung up on like a font or a certain color used somewhere. And so you really want to kind of stick to the methodology where it's, you document use cases real thoroughly. Then you start to do some, you start to work on the sitemap and the nav and page layout in terms of, wireframing, no color wireframes, just start to get kind of content in place. And the last, step there then is to add, color and imagery and design to those things. And then there's still, obviously the opinions still come out then, but it's at the right part of the project. And it's kind of like the final touches. So you can kind of move a little bit quicker there. It's always great to have a partner like SADA that's invested in becoming, the deep expert, staying real close to the product roadmap so they know what's coming, so they can potentially work those features and use cases into the projects that they're currently doing. And so I think, again, maybe just in general, best practices, have the relationship, have the sponsors, and work closely together. And I get to hang out with Chris virtually once a week, and Jacob and Adrian and some other people at SADA, and it's great. And that's, to me, if you're connecting and keeping those relationships active, then there's only one trajectory, in my opinion, and that's up and to the right. And that's exciting. And I love that part of my job.
Yeah, I'd echo what John's saying. I'm lucky enough to get to meet with John once a week and discuss like what's going on with our projects and what work we're doing. And that time is incredibly valuable for me as somebody on the deployment side to talk to, John, who works at the company for the tool that we're deploying. Like that tight knit relationship gives SADA such a tremendous benefit to our customers. I mean, customers can ask us questions about things that, maybe we know might not be a feature today, but might be coming down the road later. And we'll be able to bring that back to John like very, very quickly and say, hey, we've got a customer who's asking about XYZ. What can we tell them at this point? Or what can you share with us that can help us in this situation? Like that the pace of that like feedback loop is a huge benefit that our customers get to experience. I'd say the other cool thing I want to mention before we end our time is just like, man, it's cool to be able to build cool things. Like some of our customers, they have very specific and very unique brand identities that you go online and it is distinctly them. Like I can't mention specific names, but you would know them if you saw them. Like wow, that's very much this customer. That's very much that customer. And it's just so cool to see those platforms come to life, not only in the design aspects, but the employee experience side of it too. Seeing how they handle their DEI or affinity groups and like what opportunities those employees have to interact with each other at this company versus this company, and like seeing the identities be different, but very much offering like great experiences to their employees. But then also the design stuff, right? Like seeing how this manufacturing company looks incredibly different than this software company, but they both look really cool. And I get to bring those sites back and show my team here at SADA, say, hey, look at this cool stuff we're building. Like, look at this really great thing we're doing. And that inspires other people to say, well, I want to work on that kind of cool stuff. So it is really, really infectious, both here within SADA, but also, for our customers as well.
Yeah. Seeing and being, again, kind of getting to see cool brand, cool design. That's always great. I love finding, that stuff randomly on the web and now to see it at work, kind of in a day in, day out thing. It's that is kind of a nice little added bonus. If you have that like creative side of your brain that needs to be fed and tickled every now and again, like these are great projects.
For sure.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share these insights with your network. See you next time.